Welcome back, everyone, to the Rooted Lifestyle Podcast. We're your hosts, Camryn and Justus Woods.
Hey, guys. Thanks for joining us for another week. As always, welcome back or welcome to your first episode of the Rooted Lifestyle Podcast. And we're so excited for what we have planned today.
Yeah. What are we talking about today?
So we're going to be talking about diets. I know a lot of people have their own opinions of do diets, don't do diets. They're bad for you. They're good for you, whatever. Tons of opinions. And we have our own opinions on diets. And so we thought that we would love to share that with you guys since we've done some of the diets before. Yeah. We've heard of them. We know people who have done them. So purely educational podcast episode. And we're excited you guys are here. Yeah,
we're just going to break down some of the common diets, the more popular ones, and kind of, give a high level benefits and certain, not drawbacks, but more so just like things to look out for, a hesitancy, yeah. things to look out for when you're looking at doing diets. And obviously, as we always mention when we do podcast episodes like this, it's definitely our opinion. We have done some research about it, but ultimately it's about what your body needs and what your body feels. So ultimately listen to your body and do your own research before choosing one.
And you can always go to a nutritionist. You can go to a doctor if you're having like a certain issue. But if you're just curious about it and you do it in a healthy way, go for it. But we're here to encourage you guys and just let y'all know. So Justus, what is the first diet we're going to start with?
So we're going to start with the very famous keto diet. This one is very well known and very popular. Essentially, it prioritizes fat with very few carbs and like a average amount of protein. But it mainly promotes like eating fats. So think about avocados, eggs,
healthy fats.
Healthy fats.
Yeah.
So keto is short for ketogenic, which was basically designed to keep the body in a near constant state of ketosis.
Yes.
And that is essentially a metabolic state where your body creates ketones from fat and uses that energy instead of the sugar from carbs. So it pulls the fat and tries and uses it as energy because your body is depleted of carbs.
Right.
So ultimately, it's supposed to help you to lose fat by pulling on that fat for energy instead of.
Yeah. And real quick on that, I've heard of a lot of women. I don't know about men, Justus, but I've heard of a lot of women trying to do this to lose the weight really quickly. And so I do know that there is a period of like your body's really going through the transition and it's really hard on your body because if you go from eating carbs every single day to eating zero carbs, just like right off the whim, your body's it's going to take a toll on your body. So you have to be careful when doing that.
Because it's your body's primary source of energy is typically
carbohydrates.
So like that's just preferred energy source. So if you're switching it to the ketones, created from fats, you're going to have an adjustment period there, and it may be hard on your body. But there have been some crazy claims, and I've listened to some podcasts. One of them being Andrew Huberman's podcast. I forgot he had on a doctor there who had talked about how he uses health to help his patients with mental illness.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And the benefits of that. So not only has the keto diet or being in ketosis kind of been linked to like treating things like respiratory illnesses, physical illnesses, things like that, even cancer. But it also has had some studies where they've seen benefits from mental illness with like depression, anxiety, and even schizophrenia.
Yeah. So that actually would make sense. I haven't done the research because you obviously researched the keto diet, but correct me if I'm wrong. Obviously, if you guys hear this and you're like, she's full of crap, look it up. But I do remember in psychology when we were studying kind of mental illness, such as like anxiety and depression, there are foods that you can eat to lower that. And I know that there are things you can eat to lower like your stress hormone, like cortisol, blood pressure, blood sugar, all of those things that have a link to like your neuromuscular move, everything like that. And so it would make sense that foods that you eat can help or hurt mental illness. That is a proven fact. I do know that. So that's fascinating that the keto diet has been shown to help. Yeah,
because it's like that state of, I forgot, it's the act of those ketones, I think, in your body, and having that in your body, it just helps with that system. I don't know the full details of it, but I encourage you to go. I wish I knew the name of the episode, but
that's okay.
I encourage you to go listen to it because it's really cool and interesting. But in terms of what we're talking about here, I think the main reason why people choose to do diets anyway is to lose weight. But I don't think there's been really significant studies have shown that the keto diet like causes any more weight loss than any other diets out there. So if you're looking for like a quick fix thing, I don't think that the keto diet is any better than.
I think your body's just going to really take a toll, and you're going to be more exhausted than anything else because people are going to do keto for like 2 weeks and then they're like, okay, I'm back to normal. And like, that process just doesn't seem good. But yeah, people definitely try it.
Have you done keto before?
So I think that maybe there was a time in like high school where I was like, oh, I could lose weight, blah, blah, blah. I don't know why I just sounded country. But
yeah, right.
I was like, I can.
It's Alabama coming out.
Yeah, even though I was in Charlotte for high school. But I was like, oh, I could lose weight, whatever. Before I knew anything about like autoimmune diseases, diets that are actually helpful more than harmful, I was like, keto, no carbs, let's go, baby. So I think I did it for literally one day and I was like, I hate this, I'm never doing it again. Yeah. So I haven't really done it.
Because it takes a minute for your body, especially if you work out like really hard and really strong. You can't. I mean, you don't see any athletes like doing the keto diet and stuff just because your body's exerting so much that you need those. You need more energy in your body to be able to burn.
But I also do know this one girl in college who she has tried everything in the books of like, I don't know really, like I haven't heard her whole story, but essentially she was working with a doctor and the only thing she found to help her maintain a healthy weight was keto. So like it works for some
it definitely works for some people.
You're going to lose weight no matter what. Is it a lifestyle that you can create for yourself? I don't know. That's up for debate. I can never do it, but some people can.
And I think that's partly why we're talking about like the name of this podcast episode is how you should think about diets. And I think the idea that diets are, you're on it and then you're off and you're perfectly good to go. But
it's a diet, not a lifestyle.
Yeah. The reality is that a lot of the times people revert back to their old ways, and even worse because these diets are so strict and so hard that you can't translate it into a sustainable lifestyle and you just revert back to a worse state. So definitely think about diets more as a way to help kind of reset your body and identify the points where you feel like you need to exclude these foods rather than just think about it as like, oh, once I do this, like I'm good to go. I can go back to normal.
Absolutely
not how it works.
So speaking of that, talking about a diet that actually could be more beneficial than harmful, especially for autoimmune disease, or you're just trying to figure out something that's wrong with your gut or you have a lot of inflammation. And we've talked about this before, but the paleo diet, this is my favorite because this could actually be transitioned into a lifestyle. It's not necessarily in my eyes a diet. And so I try to live paleo majority of the time. I know we try to live more Whole30, but I do try to live paleo majority of the time because it's also called the caveman diet. And so that could be considered a cousin of like the carnivore diet, which we'll get into a little bit later. But so in addition to meat, you're also eating fish, vegetables, fruits, nuts, and seeds, but you're trying to avoid a lot of processed foods like grains. You're not eating dairy. You're limiting sugar because that's a processed food. But like I have definitely made paleo banana bread. That's like the only banana bread I ever make. And it is phenomenal. So I make it all the time. But I think that's what I love about paleo diet is like you can have sugar because in another diet that we'll talk about later, you can't. And so I just love like the freedom of paleo because I have to focus on lowering inflammation. And that is what this diet allows me to do. So I love sticking to it. But fascinating because studies have shown that this diet is effective to help people lose weight and drop their blood pressure and improve other blood markers. And so people have researched this a lot, but there's not enough evidence of the diet's effects on health and so that more research needs to be done. Is that pretty much what it's saying? Just like there hasn't been enough research on this diet?
Well, I think that there's an idea that, essentially, this diet can help with lowering blood pressure and helps with losing weight. But there's not enough evidence to essentially confirm for sure that like this is the thing with a lot of these diets.
Yeah.
It's hard to make a direct correlation about a diet when you're talking about someone's lifestyle.
Yeah.
Somebody can be predisposed to something whereas like another person can't. So it's like, are you really saying that this diet is helping with reducing your blood pressure? Is this the case for everyone? So I think with any diet, there needs to be more research done. I think like what you were saying about the paleo diet is really interesting because I feel like that's the one diet that we've adopted as more of our lifestyle because it's something easier to do. You can cut out processed foods. You can cut out grains. You can cut out, like dairy. It's
basically a whole foods diet.
It's basically like a whole foods diet, which is hard to do at first. And we'll talk about how I kind of got that translated from the Whole30 diet to more of the paleo diet. But I feel like this out of anything is definitely more manageable. And I think this is coming from somebody who's used to eat a lot of crap.
Yeah.
I feel like it's more manageable. But one thing that I did read, which is very interesting, was how, people say like, grains and stuff are cause inflammation.
Yes.
But there have also been studies that shown that grains have helped to prevent heart disease. So there are some trepidations of the paleo diet because the complete exclusion of grains can lead to, I guess you have a higher chance of gaining heart disease. So I don't know to what extent that means. Like, it's not a direct 1-to-1 correlation here, but I think they're coming to the translation that, okay, if grains can be shown to help with heart disease, not having grains could potentially be bad for your heart. But I think that there's a lot of other supplements, and we talked about this before. There's so many other ways where you can supplement things into your diet that can benefit you when you're lacking in other areas.
Absolutely. And I know that that's research you found, but I think my mom and I would stand here and say heck to the no. I think that grains there's more inflammatory markers in grains than benefits, but I do understand that you did find that in research. And some people, grains don't affect you.
Yeah.
But with me, and I think that it is like what you said, your own body. Do you have an autoimmune disease? Do you have a predisposition to things? And so, like, for me specifically, I think grains would never be my best friend because every time I eat them, I get inflamed or my stomach hurts or I gain inflammation weight. So different for everybody, but that's really fascinating, actually.
Yeah. But I'm a big proponent of the paleo diet. I think my lifestyle is like paleo, but with like, I do add grains occasionally.
Yeah, for sure.
It's mainly like potatoes and stuff, but I do add grains just because I feel like, for me, like the energy that I need in the workouts. Grains. Well, I said I add grains along with potatoes.
Gotcha.
I know potatoes aren't grains.
I was like, wait, Justus, you know this. I said
I mostly do potatoes, but I also add grains like
gotcha.
Like rice and things like that because I need it to
you need the energy
to like work out and stuff. Yeah,
you need the fullness for sure.
But I try to avoid it. But dairy, processed foods, all that, I definitely avoid.
I say that, but then literally this weekend in Nashville, I ate queso.
Well, it's part of your 20.
I know. I just love cheese so much.
Yeah.
Okay, the third diet we're going to talk about, you want to take this one?
Yeah, is the carnivore diet. So this is basically eating animal-based products, animal-based protein, and dairy. So meat, cheese, milk, eggs, no grains, no fruit, no vegetables.
That just blows my mind.
No vegetables, kids.
Blows my mind.
So
I mean, you've never heard anyone say, don't eat your vegetables.
Yeah, exactly. I know, it's crazy. And I've recently heard about the carnivore diet. I think you told me about it, but I didn't really know much about it before. But it's very, very interesting. And obviously, I think you're getting a lot of protein, you're getting no grains, so you're going to lose fat. I mean, that's just kind of part of it. But I think not the drawback, but the one downside is that there has been linked an increase of heart disease
because of the red meat. When you're consuming a lot of red meat, you have a higher chance of getting heart disease. That makes sense for sure. Yeah. That's so interesting to me that like I've never heard of anyone be like, don't eat your vegetables. Like, what's the reasoning behind that? Have we looked into that?
I don't know. I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why maybe it's like the carbs because it's supposed to be a 0 carb diet and there's technically carbs, but I have to believe there's carbs in meat, right?
Right. And I don't know. This is just mind blowing. Clearly, we have not done this diet. I just think it's insane. But I do know someone who did it, and he was coming off of football. He's a couple years older than me. He's a family friend. Mm-hmm. He was coming off of football, and he really wanted to shed the weight that they made him put on. And so he was like, I'm doing the carnivore diet. And I was like, good for you, because I could never. So I feel personally that that's not sustainable. Yeah. And just like putting protein in your body, that's a lot of protein in your body. It's supposed to help fight inflammation and nutrient deficiencies. That makes sense because protein is never going to harm you in the sense of inflammation. Yeah. That's very interesting. So I wonder if you didn't eat red meat ever, if it would. You would literally only be eating like fish and turkey and chicken. That's it. Ugh, I would never eat. I would go carnivore for like 2 weeks and I would never eat meat again. I'd be vegan. Sick of it. I'd be a vegan after that, which is just insane. So obviously fruits and vegetables, our opinion on that is you need them. They provide a lot of things that your body needs. And like we've said before, that you can get a lot of your supplements and vitamins through your food, vitamins and minerals through your food. And that is a goal of eating. That's kind of a gift that we get from food. It's just like you can help your body or harm your body with what you put in it. And So obviously we're not proponents of no fruits or vegetables because you get a ton of vitamins. Like majority of vitamins are through your vegetables and your fruit.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. But maybe it works for someone. It's not going to work for us.
But there's always, like we had said before, there's a way that you can supplement with like vitamins and taking daily vitamins. So there could be a way to do it, but honestly, there's nothing better than getting your nutrients and your vitamins from like natural whole foods like fruits and vegetables.
Right. Absolutely. So coming off of the carnivore diet, kind of doing like a 180, we're going to be talking about the vegan diet.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of get confused with the vegan diet and like the whole foods diet and like a vegetarian. It's kind of confusing to me because one time I called someone a vegan and they're like, no, I'm plant-based. That's what it was.
There's a difference between plant-based versus vegan?
Yes. So I can tell you what it is. You may tell you? Look at this memory of mine. So the difference between vegan and plant-based is basically the fact that vegan food has a lot of fillers in it. So because they are not eating meat and things and they need nutrients from other places, they would go to the store and buy like, oh, vegan cheese, oh, vegan whatever. Look at the ingredients on vegan cheese because it's all these gums and these fillers and all this bad stuff. So the difference between that and eating plant-based is you're eating true whole foods that are just plant-based. Did I kind of get that right? I mean, that's what someone who literally is plant-based told me because I called them a vegan and they were like, no.
So plant-based here is...
Because we believe everything we read on the internet. No, I'm just kidding. We don't. That was a joke.
Plant-based is you avoid like meats and poultry, seafood, dairy, and eggs. And then you can have like oil, fruits and vegetables, grains, and legumes. Vegans essentially avoid, or it says avoid versus no. Like, I guess like plant-based, you avoid it. Vegans like don't eat those things. And then vegetarians, they can eat dairy. So vegan and vegetarian is that you can eat dairy and milk and eggs.
Okay. I think also a lot of the vegan is like the killing of the animals.
Yeah. Vegan is like you don't want anything like...
You don't want to harm the animals.
Yeah, I think plant-based, you avoid those foods. But for a vegan, it's like, I don't even want to...
Yeah. And we're not shooting this down. Like, obviously, it works for a lot of people that I know to be vegan, and that's totally great. And there's been a lot of health benefits. But it's just kind of like, okay, like look at your ingredients. Because, for example, the Beyond Burger, I don't know about you, but I've looked at those ingredients and like a lot of it is from beans and stuff like that, which is great. But then there's just so many fillers. But
there's a lot of fillers in it and stuff that you don't know what you're getting. So if you're eating fully just like natural whole foods, then like, yeah. But I think there's another aspect of not having meat. Protein, the best source of protein comes from animals, and that's just a fact. And then some people honestly are vegans because it's more ethical and moral for them for like not killing animals and stuff. Fine. And that I can understand.
I hate killing animals. Well, I don't kill animals, but I hate knowing that we kill animals.
You love the bison burgers we're about to eat tonight.
Yes, we are about to eat them. That's embarrassing. No, I'm still going to eat meat because the protein in it is just so rich and like you can't get it anywhere else.
Protein is the most pure form of protein for your body to digest. And a lot of the time the fillers and stuff that they put into these vegan products, your body, you really can't digest it. So if you're trying to grow muscle mass and grow size, it's really hard when you're a vegan. I mean, other people have done it. I mean, Cam Newton was a vegetarian or vegan.
Cam Newton was a vegan is a vegan?
Yeah, or he was.
And
he still is.
Big.
He's big. So it's possible.
It is possible.
And it's like you can supplement it with like protein shakes and stuff, like all this stuff. But
vitamins and
you just need to supplement a lot is what I'd say, is that you can't rely solely on getting your protein from beans. You have to if you want to only get it from that, you have to like up your dosage like a ton compared to just eating normal meat.
Yeah. Fascinating. So that's our opinion on that. But if you want to try it, go for it and let us know how it is. So the last diet that we want to talk about, which is our favorite, we've both done it. We've both seen success. We've seen lifestyle changes from it. It has just made us more intuitive with what we put in our body. And that is the Whole30 diet. We talked about it a lot. And do you want to give them a little rundown of what it is? So
essentially it's not eating...
not eating, apparently. It's just not eating. That's what it is. No, not at all.
No, it's basically like it's eating whole foods. So like no dairy, no grains, no sugar, no processed food. It's basically like paleo, I would say. It's an elimination diet. It's an elimination diet. You eliminate all this for 30 days.
Yes.
What is the difference really between paleo and Whole30?
So the difference is mainly like paleo, you can have refined sugars. You're not supposed to.
Yeah.
But you can. You can have like paleo chocolate chips because they're gluten-free, dairy-free, soy-free,
But, like,
egg-free, blah, blah,
with
blah.
Whole30, no
Exactly.
sugar.
No sugar. And so it's called the elimination diet. That's another name for it. And the goal of it is to go on a strict diet for 30 days and no shorter than 30 days, because that's what gives your body like the full reset time period. And so once you finish the elimination diet, you are supposed to slowly but surely reintroduce things back into your diet that you may or may not react well with. So if you think you may be allergic to gluten, you could reintroduce gluten the next day and see how your body responds, or dairy or sugar. But it also cuts out 100% of sugar in your body, and you're really not supposed to eat fruit. So less fruit, way less fruit. You're only supposed to have like a couple bites of fruit in the morning and not every single day.
Yeah.
And then obviously no processed sugar, because it's trying to get rid of those cravings. So on day like 3 and 4 of doing the Whole30, your body's really, really, really like eliminating all toxins of those sugar cravings, and you're like craving sugar more than you ever have. But it is so cool how after a week or two, like you don't even think about sugar. You're not wanting it, you're not desiring it, and it's just like the coolest thing ever. But it has been such a good way to discover what reacts well and not well with you. And it's just nice to know that like I'm treating my body with full whole foods. You have to cook at home because there's a lot of oils. Like it is very strict. You can't eat like canola oil, vegetable oil, peanut oil, because those are known to be inflammatory oils. So you supplement with like avocado or olive oil. And there's just, I could talk about it forever. But the main reason that I do it, or that I would ever go back to it, is to lower inflammation and to like get my hormones balanced. That is like a huge, huge, huge reason. Because remember how you talked about doing the Whole30 with your foot because your inflammation was crazy. And I was like, Justus, try this. See how it goes.
Yeah. And it worked a lot. It worked very, very well. And part of this diet is like reduce inflammation. And you mentioned this before earlier, but it's like to get to the root cause of like those cravings and stuff, to actually eliminate like cravings and habits of kind of eating unhealthy. So it gets down to the root cause, which I really love about it. But for me, I did it to help reduce inflammation in my Achilles when I had my foot surgery afterwards from playing football. So that really helped me. And I think that helped kind of reset my body and identify areas and foods that cause inflammation in my body.
For sure.
And once I cut those out to kind of like my lifestyle, it helps so much. And I just felt less bloated. I just felt less full.
Yeah.
I just felt like a better version of myself. And I think that's how you should approach any of these diets, is like, you're supposed to take what you want from them, and essentially, well, first of all, I will say this, because some people are like, oh, like you're saying that these diets don't work. I'm saying like, if you're going to choose a diet, stick to it. Because you're never going to see the results of it if you do it for a day and you're like, oh, this doesn't work. No. Like stick to it for the allotted amount of time, unless it's like severely like damaging your body, but then reassess and kind of figure out, okay, is this for me? Is this not? Am I feeling better? If you are feeling better, then you know that there are certain foods and stuff that you should probably cut out, but then go back to a lifestyle that you know that you can sustain.
Yes.
So what does that look like for us?
So I would say also back to doing the inflammation thing. Like I do it to help with my eczema and my gut issues. And it's also the fact of knowing that you're doing something for yourself for 30 days and that you did it. Yeah. It's just like the most rewarding thing ever, just knowing like you did this for yourself. And we live 80-20 of like, okay, during our week, those 5 days of the week, and honestly on Sunday, we don't really cheat, quote unquote, on Sundays. It's basically just Friday night to Saturday during the day at 1 or 2 times. Yeah. But our 80% is pretty much Whole30, if not paleo, if not a little bit of grain here and there. So we do a mixture. We found what works for us. We stick to real protein, animal protein, chicken, turkey, salmon, fish, bison, beef, whatever. We stick to all those, and then we supplement with vegetables. We supplement with like, maybe you have quinoa when I have cauliflower rice. We have sausage. We stay awake from like the really fatty proteins, but we'll eat them like ever so often, like pork, bacon or something. We'll eat that rarely, but we will. And then on the weekends, like a Friday night, we may go out to eat, we may grab a drink. Saturday, we may go and get nachos and watch a game, and then just kind of reset. But it's great. We really do have a great system of not feeling like we're restricting. We never restrict unless you're doing a diet and committing to it. Yeah. You need to do what the diet is saying to get the full benefit. But yeah, it's been a great balance for us, because I never feel like, thank goodness it's Friday, I can finally just binge and do whatever I want. Yeah. It's more like, no, I choose to eat healthy during the week, so that when I do have like this little thing that I know is going to inflame me, I know that my body my body's immunity based off the food that I've eaten is going to keep me from getting super sick from eating this one thing.
Yeah. And that's what it's all about is
Right.
like finding something that you can sustain after you do a diet or something. Okay. So how can I sustain this?
Yeah.
How can I do this every single day without like hating my life, you know?
Right.
And I feel like that looks different for everybody. If you want to start off a couple of days kind of easing back in, that's fine. And then kind of work from there. But yeah, essentially you should be thinking about diets as a way to kind of reassess as like a testing point of saying like, okay, what are the deficiencies or areas in my body that need improvement, or what can I exclude?
Yeah.
That's why I feel like the elimination diets are definitely better. It's just because it helps you identify those things quicker.
Yeah.
And having that 30-day like window of time of like it eliminating almost everything is like, okay, this really gets to the root problem.
Absolutely. And it's just kind of like what I was saying is you feel good about yourself. You know yourself better after discovering what really works and what doesn't work for you. You know yourself better. And so it's just awesome. I love it. I love trying to figure out a way to like make myself feel better, look better, all of those things. But also what you had said earlier, I love how you said habits, kind of like habits you can implement, because with doing this, like we had mentioned with supplementation, if you wouldn't have done carnivore, keto, paleo, Whole30, whatever diet, and you would have never discovered those supplements that really work well for you, you maybe would have never started them. So I love how you mentioned like you can start a habit by also discovering a diet that you only do for a select period of time. Like we said before, these are not lifestyles, because I mean, we said we make the paleo kind of a lifestyle, but we are not so harsh to the T where we're never going to drink, because like you can't drink on the paleo diet. Like we're just not going to be like that. We're going to do that for like the 80% and that's it.
I think part of the reason too why we do the paleo, and there's an aspect of obviously there are people who like prepping for like shows or whatever, they want to look a certain way, so it's like calories in, calories out, where you want to lose weight, and yes, there's a part of that, but I think for us being on like a more paleo lifestyle diet, it allows you to not have to like track that stuff, because you know what you're putting into your body is whole foods and good food. So it takes away that like, oh, I could have cereal, but I could only have
a cup,
200, like a cup of cereal and like 30 ounces of milk, like stuff like that. Whereas you're eating whole foods and natural foods, and you're like, okay, you're not going to binge and like totally stuff yourself full, but it's like what I'm eating is natural, it's organic, it's whole and healthy. Yeah.
And I think we've talked about it before on another episode of just like weighing food and like macros and things like that. And I think that can be a really bad habit for some people, because they're going to like associate that with restricting and like, I can only have one fry, I can only have this much. And it's just like with the lifestyle, like you'd never have to think of it as restricting. It's never, oh, I can't eat that because it's not Friday. It's like, oh, I'm not going to eat that today because I want to eat something crazy on Friday and I'm just going to eat as good as I can. Like, I don't know. I just like the way that we do it. I think it works out really well. So yes, if you guys have any questions, as always, reach out to us. We hope you enjoyed the episode, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you guys for listening.
Bye.